And well, I must mention, my editor today said he's supporting Arsenal. And I said, well, let's see how Inter Milan will do. That's a game we're watching out for tonight. And we can't wait to see the results later in the night. But before we go away to move on to the discussion tonight, let's take a look at a story here on Safaricom, where the Central Bank of Kenya has backed the proposed partial divestiture of Safaricom, saying the deal could ease pressure on public finances while strengthening economic stability in submissions to Parliament. CBK Governor Dr. Kamau Thuge says the transaction could raise over 240 billion shillings to fund key infrastructure projects without increasing Kenya's public debt at a time when revenues are underperforming and domestic borrowing is crowding out private sector lending. It is also projected that the deal will boost foreign investment and lift Kenya's foreign exchange reserves, helping stabilize the shilling and cushion the economy against external shocks. Despite Vodafone increasing its stake in Safaricom, the central bank insists there will be no threat to financial stability, noting that M-Pesa, which processes trillions of shillings annually, will remain under strict regulatory oversight.
The Central Bank of Kenya has come out strongly to defend the proposed partial sale of Safaricom shares, saying the deal could stabilize the economy and fund development projects without increasing public debt. CBK insists the transaction poses no risk to financial stability or to M-Pesa.
In regard to the fiscal objectives, this transaction is expected to generate approximately 244 billion shillings, which is equivalent to about $1.88 million, using an exchange rate of 130 shillings to $1.
CBK told lawmakers that the revenue continue to underperform, concessional loans are shrinking, and commercial borrowing remains expensive. At the same time, heavy domestic borrowing by the government is crowding out private sector lending, keeping interest rates high for businesses and households.
We want to know whether there is a safeguarding for monies belonging to customer e-money, currently over approximately 250 billion in trust accounts, and ensure they remain robust, ring-fenced, and insulated from group-level risks.
Labor unions have also weighed in. Kotu says it supports the sale but wants workers included in decisions on how the money is spent through the proposed National Infrastructure Fund.
We cannot listen. The court now said you can't listen to you because you have no recognition. And that's why we're looking for recognition, because without recognition, I cannot do a CBA. And many other unions can do CBA. So this is why we're saying it's not that we need to be supported so that we get there. We are not weak as a union, but we are avoiding the issue of going to the street, jumping every day.
However, some lawmakers remain skeptical. Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro has questioned the valuation and transparency of the sale, warning Kenyans could lose over 100 billion shillings if the process is flawed.
This financial year, up to the first half of, I think September is the half year of Safaricom, they had a 52% increment in profit, bottom line. So we are selling Safaricom based on the previous profits. That's why this deal in Harakishwa, so that by the time Safaricom announces their full year profits, which will be over 52% increment, the deal will have already been done.
As hearings continue, CBK maintains the Safaricom divestiture is key to stabilizing the economy, lowering borrowing costs, and supporting long-term growth. Sophia Ali, KTN.
And well, with that story, we want to take a quick look at some few issues here. Then we take a short break and come back with our discussion. One of the things we have to look at is the Standard newspaper. To remind you, get yourself a copy. On the front page, we have a story with a headline reading, Wetangula questioned. The story talking about while police insist the car crash that killed former Lugari Member of Parliament Cyrus Jirongo was an accident, detectives have already questioned more than 20 people, including Speaker Moses Wetangula, as they dig into the final hours of a death that refuses to go away. As investigators piece together timelines and forensic evidence, politicians remain unconvinced openly questioning the official narrative and demanding answers to what they insist are troubling inconsistencies. Well, this story is in page 4 of the Standard newspaper tomorrow. That's Kenya's bold newspaper. Make sure you get yourself a copy, because there's this story and much more to expect. And again, to remind you about tonight's discussion, an interesting discussion, by the way. The government is divesting, 65% of its stake at an offer price of 9 Kenya shillings per share, while retaining 35% ownership, which will be subject to a 24-month lock-in period to ensure continued strategic oversight of the national energy artery. By the way, this 9 Kenya shillings is meant to also enable any Kenyan who's interested to get themselves shares, at least a minimum of 100 of them. And we make sense for you about this discussion, why it's very important for you to care about why Kenya Pipeline Company is on sale and why there has been opposition against the sale. To discuss this particular topic with me is Caleb Mugendi, who is a portfolio manager at the Capital A Investment Bank. And of course, also we have Biko Wafula, who is an investment research analyst. Gentlemen, lovely to see you. I think after the break, you'll tell me about the color coding. Is it a blue day? Perhaps I should have gotten the memo. But again, we need to remind you about tomorrow's weather. Most parts of Kenya are expected to be sunny and dry with warm to hot daytime temperatures and isolated showers possibly in parts of the highlands, Rift Valley and western regions. Well, we do leave you with a more detailed look at the weather forecast for tomorrow, and we return again with this particular discussion, why it matters to Kenyans. So stay tuned and don't go too far.